So guys, it don't happen. Nnamdi Kanu has been vindicated. So it appears some Nigerian leaders are now waking up to the reality on ground. So many people have been, condemning the constitution and also the amalgamation of Nigeria. But I tell you, the leadership style in this Nigeria does not even encourage somebody to support the unity of this country, because we have seen how some group are being marginalized while some group have claimed the ownership of Nigeria. That is what we are seeing in this country. So guys, this is a breaking news. And if you ask me what that breaking news is, the breaking news is that there is this bill that has been brought before the National Assembly. They are going to be deliberating on it to allow groups who do not believe they should be part of Nigeria to secede. Nnamdi Kanu has been vindicated. Honestly, Nnamdi Kanu has been vindicated. We all know that, people have always said that the constitution of Nigeria needs to be rejigged. I mean, it needs to be retouched. And so many people do not approve of the amalgamation of Nigeria. People believe Nigeria would have stayed, as individual entities, not to have brought them together as a country, because the unity does not exist. It only exists on paper. But in reality, we know that the unity is not there. There are groups who claim they own Nigeria, while some group is being marginalized. We all know that it is clear. But I'm happy that Nigerian leaders are waking up to the reality on ground. So if you ask me, I will say there is a breaking news on ground, and that breaking news is of great importance for the existence of Nigeria. One of the federal lawmakers has brought forth this bill, to allow different ethnic groups to decide whether they want to still belong to Nigeria or not. And like you can see this headline, it says Yoruba, Igbo, other ethnic nationalities should be able to exit freely from Nigeria. Proposal before National Assembly says. So guys, for me, I think this is like a vindication on the part of Nnamdi Kanu, because this is what he has been saying. His own struggle is that he feels he's not happy with the way Igbos are being treated, and that he wants the Igbos to secede, and that has been his campaign. And we all know that he's still being held by the DSS for his struggle.
The first question is, just like I have a wife, do I want to be married? Question number one. So in Nigeria, do we want to be one? It's an assumption that we want to be. It's a terribly big and wrong assumption, because when I went to Croatia, Croatia was part of the 6 countries that formed Yugoslavia. Right now they're doing very well. Macedonia is doing very well. Slovenia is doing very well. Slovakia is doing very well. So nothing says that we must be one country. Nothing. It's not sacrosanct that we must be one country. If in being one country you have all the killings you have in Jos, in Abuja, everywhere, what's the point being one country? Governance is about a foundation. A country that has been struggling with a foundation for 23 years cannot be a serious country. And there has to be a need for some speed. So the 10th Assembly must immediately address this problem of continuous talking about Nigeria. Remember what Bola Ige said about the survival of Nigeria, and it rings, because I was there that day, it still rings in my head, that in a situation of a political arrangement such as Nigeria's, the first question is, just like I have a wife, do I want to be married? Question number one. So in Nigeria, do we want to be one? It's an assumption that we want to be. It's a terribly big and wrong assumption, because when I went to Croatia, Croatia was part of the 6 countries that formed Yugoslavia. Right now they're doing very well. Macedonia is doing very well. Slovenia is doing very well. Slovakia is doing very well. So nothing says that we must be one country. Nothing. It's not sacrosanct that we must be one country. If in being one country you have all the killings you have in Jos, in Abuja, everywhere, what's the point being one country? So that's why, in looking at President Tinubu's governance program, I would remind him of a structural engineer who says, I can't build this house, I can't build Nigeria on the basis of a weak governance structure. It is the most important and fundamental process if you want a country to grow. So Nigeria's governance structure is very weak. The first is, any nation not at peace. And I always like to use the analogy of marriage. If, for instance, every day you get up and you and your wife are fighting, you cannot have peace. And you cannot think about how to develop. So the first thing we have to do in Nigeria is we have to organize peace. Because if we don't organize peace and security, you can't have good governance. So that is the step number one. And I also made the point at the lecture that to continue to do the same thing with the same result is a mistake. We cannot resolve our problem by military solution. It will not happen. Quote me. If we continue on this path to deploy the military, deploy resources, I don't even know how much has been spent by the military in acquiring armaments. We can't win. And the simple reason is you don't use military solutions for what is called irregular warfare. Where do you find these Boko Haram people or the bandits? So military option will not give Nigeria peace. Rather, what you need is to go back and say, before 1914, who were the owners of Nigeria? When you invite those who were owners of Nigeria, Benin Kingdom in the Guinness Book of Records has the largest man-made structure in the world. The wall they built is bigger than the Chinese wall. People don't know this. So that is an extremely old empire. And the man who sits on that throne, the Oba, controls a humongous amount of political power. Then you count the emirs, you count my own OB, yet you exclude them from the process of development is a huge error. It's a huge error. So this is what we need to do. We need to bring in all these guys. We need to bring in Ohaneze, Pandef, Arewa, Afenifere. These are the people that will shape Nigeria and give us political peace for development. So that's the first point on governance, on political governance. Then the second point on governance concerns the issue of what is the proper constitution that we need to have, because all the constitutions we've had have been imposed, right from the colonial to the military to the one that General Abdulsalam imposed, and then the one the National Assembly is now conducting, you know, and it has taken them 23 years. I think that's a very long time for us to have a constitution that no one even believes and respects. So I looked up, I did some research, and I found late Professor Nwabeze's theory on a new constitution very interesting. He says that the National Assembly may not be, and I repeated it to President Akpabio, may not be aware of the nature of their powers. So I pointed out that the National Assembly has 3 legislative powers. The first is the National Assembly sitting as the House of Assembly of the federal government. The second is the National Assembly sitting as the House of Assembly of the FCT. Then the third is the National Assembly sitting as the House of Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is a power they've never used. So Nwabeze suggests that they could use that to just establish a new constitution. All they need to do is to consult people. The constitution people don't understand is not as sacrosanct as it sounds, because it's an act that attaches the schedule. So Nwabeze suggests just delete the schedule, that's the current constitution, and add a new one. So all these discussions that have been taking place, write up something that is agreeable, send it around Nigeria, and once it's accepted, you go to the National Assembly, invoke the powers of Section 4, subsection 1, and then exchange. This happened when the Republican Constitution was established. The Parliament removed, by deletion, the Independence Constitution, and they put the Republican Constitution in exactly 1 day. Our National Assembly has spent 23 years. Because if you don't have the foundation, you can't go anywhere. So we don't have security, our political foundation is weak, our constitutional foundation is weak. Two vital instruments for development. The judiciary is, as in my 45 years, never been as low as this. Even the Supreme Court, John Okoro, castigated the appeal court for a terrible judgment where they removed virtually everybody in the plateau political system. So we can't grow if we have a weak judiciary. And therefore, the only way to go is to break up this mafia in the Supreme Court. We have to break it up. It's like saying, you know what? No woman in Nigeria shall be entitled to political office. That's what they've done to us in the judiciary. No lawyer is entitled. It's only them. They create a mafia, block us out, and appoint themselves. Incestuous relationship. So they can't be their best. So I recommended to the National Assembly to understand the difference between administration of justice. That's why judges take note and write. Versus judicial administration. In respect of judicial administration, the National Assembly can intervene. I could see President Akpabio looking a bit puzzled when I was making that point. I said, are you sure we can do this? Of course, because already there are laws. There's the Federal High Court Act, which sets out how judges should come to the court, how they should be composed. The only thing the Constitution says is you must be 15 years to be a Supreme Court judge, nothing else. So we need a law, the Supreme Court Appointment Act or whatever, to regulate the appointment of and the composition of the courts. In the case of some of the courts, it specifies that a person learned in Sharia law and customary law must be part of it. So why should somebody who's from the bar not be considered in the composition? To keep excluding the bar and the academics will result in a weak judicature. He's got off to a good start. He's kicked the engine of his aircraft. He's gone onto the wrong way. And the most difficult time for a pilot is when you're climbing out. So he's on the climb out. But remember that a pilot can always radio air traffic control that he wants to make an air return. So we're at a point where we cannot say the climb out will reach cruising height. An air return is a possibility. Unless all what I'm saying, you may say, well, I've been talking. But what I'm saying, as far as I'm concerned, is a very vital component of how Nigeria can reach cruising height. Otherwise, the captain may be looking for the nearest airport to return to and land.
5 military men are killed, unjustifiably so. Then you go and pack 120 people, maybe 70 people will die in the process. But the criminal law in Nigeria, the principle is that rather than harm one innocent person for a crime that have been committed, let 100 criminals go free. But I know that the military has the intelligence, they have the capacity to identify people who may have done these things. And who says that crime is committed by those who live within the location of that crime? We have been witnesses to exhortation by some people, some of whom that may be identifiable, that Southeast should join in a crusade against the Tinubu's government.
Sorry, sir, are you alleging that you believe that the perpetrators of this crime are not from Abia State? Is that what you're saying?
I am not believing anything because I cannot say categorically. But reason, I'm a lawyer. Because if you come in and I'm cross-examining you, you have to establish, first and foremost, that you have evidence that those people you are chasing are the likely people that may have committed it. Today we have freedom of movement. Today we have criminals that commit something in Zamfara and you arrest them in Kaduna or Borno State, and so on and so forth. Or commit criminal activities in Lagos and you can arrest them in Ebonyi State. So what is impossible? Because we are reasonable people and we are talking about how to find solution to this problem. You don't localize crime. You have to spread your net. And it is the people that will also help you. There are some people who may have been witnesses to what may have happened. I don't know the nature of the location where this thing happened. But I believe perhaps there are some residents around that place that may be watching from their homes, as we do in this Lagos. Some people watch crime scenes from and some people film it. If you now begin to arrest everybody in the street, they will keep their facts because they might fall victim needlessly. So what I'm saying is that in trying to solve a problem, you must ventilate the environment. You do not get fixated. Otherwise, the problem will not be solved. It can be repeated and repeated and repeated. But I can say, without fear or favor, that it appears that criminals are looking for guns and ammunition. And that is why it becomes very easy that if you have 1 or 2 police orderlies, they go for those ones first, not only to weaken you, their victim, their potential victim for kidnap, but also they seize their arms, even if they are arrested later, because when you are trying to commit crime, your motive takes supreme over your caution. Only that at the end of the day, you now say it is the work of Satan. So I want a situation where the military should refrain from this type of attitude. We take revenge. Against who? If you have identified and arrested those people through military intelligence or any kind of intelligence for that matter, and you are sure they are the people, the law is very clear. Anybody who kills must be killed, except there is a justifiable reason under the law. And even from the level of conscience, every human life is sacrosanct. So it is not a situation where because military has the capacity to unleash violence anywhere, anytime, and anyhow. And we are in a civil governance. We should be looking at things from the legal perspective to be sure that we do not offend the sensibilities of the ordinary and helpless citizens. Let me just put this. There is a proverb that says, you as a native doctor, you normally have plenty of dried meat in your bag. Let the rat not go there every time to chop the meat. But the native doctor should also refrain from making every rat to lose their teeth just because he lost some pieces of meat. I don't know whether you get my drift.
Well, we do, Dr. Naji, but this proverb is a bit heavy. And I know that it is in the spirit of the Igboland, you know, to infuse proverbs.
Yes, it's just a encapsulation and encapsulation of my principle of justice. That you go after those who committed the offense and don't because an ethnic member or member of a family did something, if it is proven that it's even from that family, then you go after the entire family. That's not you can't, like a police sometimes will go and they don't find the husband who committed the offense. They will arrest the wife. The law is vehemently against such behavior. The criminal jurisprudence is against it. And our criminal law is against it. And the SCJA is also against it. Even though it is still practiced one way or the other. But when you get to the court, it is shut down. So the point I'm making is that the military's effort to win the heart and soul and mind of Nigerian citizens, no matter where they are located, is to be painstaking in their investigation. The Okwama something is still very fresh. Some people have been giving account of their experiences at home. As unfortunate as it was that people died, they are all Nigerians, so there's no doubt about that. Even the fact that they were military and they are military and all that does not detract from the fact that they are Nigerians, children of somebody, father, relations and so on, with flesh and blood. So, but my contention here is that the military as well as our security agents should try to make it possible that they don't become easy prey, because those who are after them are looking. There are many people who will be interested in collecting their gun. And the young men who are marauding everywhere, taking drugs and so on, the effort of the state will amount to nothing in curbing drugs when it is possible for them to take that drug and have access to something they can steal to cause more mayhem.
All right. All right, Dr. Naji, I mean, that's the explanation is, expansive enough. But I would like you to dimension this, rather specifically along the thoughts expressed by the President General of the Ohanaeze Ndigbo, Chief Iwuanyanwu, who basically expressed exasperation at what is happening in Igboland. And I'm asking you, what is your understanding of what is happening in Igboland beyond a few aggrieved young men who are causing mayhem? Do you have a full understanding of what they are revolting against? Okay, yes, there was a Biafra Day celebration, but why ask people to stay at home? Why sit at home? Why deny people, young lads, from going for their exams? Another one is slated for, I believe, September 29th. We do not know what will happen by that time. So my question to you, sir, first is this just about, an overlay of security challenges that we're having in Nigeria, or is it about the fact that the leaders in Igboland need to call their word to order? And secondly, if I can put it in another perspective, do you think that the compatriots in Igboland would be eager to stay in the brotherhood of this sovereign fatherland? In other words, will our compatriots in Igboland, your people, our people, be willing to sing Nigeria we hail thee in the manner that things are going on now? Is that what we are saying, that people are agitating against the status quo?
Steve, the problem is not with the Igbo people, the ordinary Igbo people, it's with the politicians everywhere. The politicians are like Satans. Nigerian politicians, most of them are like Satans. The crime that they did not cause does not happen. And even the few that they may not have initiated, when they happen, they defend it, appropriate it, and consolidate it, and nothing will happen. So that impunity gives so much courage to even ordinary people that will not have thought of doing things, that are untoward. Now, talking about the Igbo situation specifically, I had occasion on this year's station, sometime when there was, I think, a bomb or something in the Imo State, very close to the government house. And the Inspector General of Police of that time, I can't remember his name, whether it's Garba, I can't remember his name now, just that same morning said that it was IPOB. And I was saying, as much as nobody is insisting whether he was right or not, he did not seem to have given opportunity for those who were on ground to investigate and pass. Because anytime you see a dog with a bone on its neck, it may not have been the dog that hung it there. It may not. And somebody can also hang bone on the neck of a dog to call it a bad name. That is also not to deny that some youths may not be so misguided to do things that are untoward, like any other criminal set of youths anywhere in the world. I am not here to defend anybody. If you grab anybody, deal with the person decisively. Crime has no ethnicity. The damage has no ethnicity. The damage is universal. Now, when you talk about whether the situation in the Southeast, I also had occasion to talk about the Southeast was becoming a bazaar. And everybody was coming in. Since Southeast was free from maybe the henchmen and all that violence, they needed to give Southeast some share. Even if it was being deprived under that particular administration, some of the access to power and access to good governance, they need to partake of the share of violence. That was what happened in those days. But I'm not saying that is a situation that we can easily replicate, because the last president had a personal encounter with Nnamdi Kanu on a personal level, where he felt insulted personally and all that and all that. That's no longer the situation with Tinubu. So Tinubu should also listen to some of the exhortations that he should help the Southeast, because whenever you have a shanty, criminals will go and hide under its canopy. The other day, some environmental staff in Lagos went under the Ikoyi Bridge and was able to flush the sanctuary of some of the criminal elements in some parts of Lagos. It is the same thing. When you talk about IPOB, people use IPOB as a franchise, whether rightly or wrongly, even whether they are Igbos or not. The important thing is that IPOB, having been banned, is an outlaw. And therefore, when you have an outlaw operating, it cannot be lawful. So the point we are making is that the duty of security agents is to investigate these things. They should investigate. But is it not very strange, Steve, that whenever there is a threat from individuals or such organizations that they were going to do this, people should sit at home? Do you think that sitting at home is the best thing for people, especially when their own children education was being jeopardized? The people are helpless. They are helpless. So it is the state that should help them. And those who should be used to help them are those who have the means of violence to counter whatever violence. Because the sit-at-home order is at the threat of violence if you come out. And we have seen what has happened. And even sometimes you begin to wonder, could an Igbo man have the courage, the effrontery and temerity of character to unleash such a pain on a fellow Igbo helpless citizen, even of an older age, just because the person came out on that very day to fend for his family? So these are questions, and nobody can unravel those questions except the intelligence community. Many of the intelligence communities we have in different locations appear to be working, but there should not be some maybe disparate application of intelligence in different locations when you have the same challenge. The same challenge should be met with the same seriousness. Okay? So the Igboland, I believe, the politicians who seem to be flourishing in Igboland are those who are enjoying certain leverages outside Igboland. If you look at that, I will leave it at that. Yeah, because I'm an elder. So I don't say everything. Okay? When I tell you that you should not go to the stream, you should know that they either may be masquerade or ghost. And you refrain from doing so.
Thank you, Dr. Naji. It's almost sounding like what my mom would say, what an adult can see sitting down, even a child will not see, even if
exactly. Even if you climb the Iroko tree.
You won't see it. Well, you've already mentioned some of these leaders, and I want to talk about, as we begin to wrap up, political accountability on the backdrop of dialogue and engagement. Do you think that the Southeast leaders, be it traditional leaders, and even the governors of the Southeastern states have been sufficiently accountable and proactive in addressing the underlying issues that continue to fuel IPOB's agitation? As a former governorship candidate yourself, how would you advise these current political leaders of handling such a complex issue, talking about the specific strategies that they can adopt to restore peace and stability in the region while addressing the demands of IPOB?
I don't think it is just necessary to particularize this thing to IPOB. IPOB is just a group of people. Everybody in Igboland does not belong to this IPOB, something we are talking about. Governance is for the people, and it does not have to require an unnecessary agitation by anybody for it to be given to the people freely if one is actually representing the people. The problem in Igboland now is that the wrong people are in power. Not in every state, though, not in every facet, though, but predominantly, the wrong people are in power. And like I alluded before, that when you are listening to music played in the bush, you don't go sit in the city and drink coffee. You must be nearer the bush where you'll be listening to the music very well. So the point we are making is that the Igbo people are like captives, and we require the federal government, the security agencies, to help our people. To help our people. And if you don't take steps to unleash the power of the Igbo people, that aspect of their contribution to national development will be lost. And Nigeria will be worse for it. You may not know what your left hand is doing, even when you are a right-handed person, until when we saw in one of the boxing situation, the right hand couldn't deliver, and the wife of the boxer told him, remember your left hand. And when he delivered it, the other guy collapsed. And that was the end of the match. So the point we are making is that all hands must be on deck. We have, Steve had just made a tactical allusion to some of the lyrics in the new old national anthem. Everybody needs to be, you say, we hail thee when you have done well. The other one was an exhortation that people should arise and do something. Let us still have at the back of our mind the exhortation of the other one, so that we can hope to be able to ingratiate ourselves in the new one. So the point we are making here is that when the governors of the Southeast feel that the challenges, they need to solve it, they will come together. It is beyond political parties, and yet it was engendered and sustained by politics, whether local or induced. That is my point. And they know what they can do, but who will bail the cat? We also need a stronger Ohaneze. Ohaneze must be seen. Let me tell you, under Joe Nwodo, Ohaneze was more vibrant. And if your leadership of a cultural organization is not as vibrant, as strong, and respectable by its people, nobody outside will respect you. That is not to say that the current executive is not trying, but that is what they can do, because age is no longer on the side of the leadership. You need vibrant leadership, highly knowledgeable, capacity to deliver, and patriotism and the zeal to go through the hawks. Because if you, the owner of a basket, condemn it, then your neighbor will use it to pour trash. That is where I will just put it.
Well, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. Naji, for your time this morning.
So, but Nigerians are very happy that this bill is coming up, and let the people decide on whether they want to really be a part of Nigeria or not, because as it stands now, we are not progressing. Nigeria is not progressing, and many people have pointed the fault to have come from the constitution and also the amalgamation of Nigeria. And I just hope that this bill will pass as soon as possible. Some people are saying that the way they passed the bill for the new National Assembly, the same way this bill should be passed. Nigerians should be the ones to decide that any ethnic group that want to secede, they should freely be allowed to secede. That is what this bill is all about, and you can see that it's really a victory on the part of Nnamdi Kanu and those Biafrans who feel they want to be on their own. We are just hoping that the National Assembly lawmakers from the north will allow this bill to pass, because I know that is where it is going to get stuck a little. And let me just read some of the sections from this website that was published by Sahara Reporters. Like you can see, the headline here says Yoruba, Igbo, other ethnic nationalities should be allowed to exit freely from Nigeria, proposal before National Assembly says. So I just hope that the way they are saying it now is going to easily pass without any delay. That is just the prayer of so many Nigerians, so that Nigeria will know peace. And this says that the private bill was titled A Bill for an Act to Substitute the Annexure to Decree 24 of 99, with a new governance model for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And further, it reads, every ethnic nationality and people in Nigeria will have an unconditional right to self-determination. The promoter of a trending draft bill seeking a return to the regional system of government, Dr. Akin Fabohunda, has proposed. So this is the person who is proposing this bill. He is not only proposing that there should be self-determination, he also wants Nigeria to return to, a regional system of government. And further, it says that this private bill was titled "A Bill for an Act to Substitute the Annexure to Decree 24 of 1999 with a new governance model for the Federal Republic of Nigeria." And further, it says, in the full proposal obtained by Sahara Reporters on Saturday, Fabohunda also suggested the scrapping of the presidential system of government, reintroduction of the parliamentary system, return to unicameral legislature, as well as provision for self-determination by any section of the country which desires so. So, guys, I think this is really a victory, on the part of the Igbos who say they just want referendum. So it is time for the Igbos to now vote if they want to secede. I mean, the majority carries the vote. So instead of we to be fighting, because anytime they call IPOB or Biafra, people tend to see them as, criminal elements. No, these are people that want to be allowed to vote on whether they should still be part and parcel of Nigeria or they should be allowed to go. And this bill is really a breaking news. And I think many people are going to be happy with this news because for Nigeria to know peace, let the people decide. We have Oduduwa group who say they are tired of being Nigerians. They also want to secede. And now we have the Biafran who also feel they've been marginalized. They are not being carried along. Their businesses are being destroyed. If they go to other parts of the country and raise structures, their structures are being destroyed. If they have business opportunities, it is being blocked. Those business opportunities will be blocked and all that. I mean, the Igbos, they've always said they've been marginalized, they've been treated to be second-hand citizens, that they are not, getting the benefit that the people from other sections of the country, like the north, the southwest, and all that are getting. And that is really causing a whole lot of turmoil. We all know that many people have come out to say, even Peter Obi, for the fact that he's an Igbo man, he will never, some people will tell you, never will Peter Obi, an Igbo man, be the president of Nigeria just because he's from the Igbo section of the country. And this is why we keep saying, honestly, this marriage as a country is not really working. If we really want to see this country work, let the people decide that yes, we want to be part of Nigeria. And once people, come out to do a referendum and it happens to be that they are of the opinion that they want to be a part of Nigeria, then we'll be talking on how to live in peace. But as it stands now, some people say they want to secede, some people say we should remain. So this bill is saying that Nigerians should be allowed to decide. I mean, different cultural groups, different ethnic groups should decide whether they want to still be in Nigeria or not. So the Igbos are going to be deciding, the Yorubas are going to be deciding, and then the Hausas too are going to be deciding if they really want to live with the Igbos and the Yorubas. And we are going to see how all this play. My prayer is that let this bill pass as soon as possible, because Tinubu said it was his plan long before now to change the national anthem, and they quickly signed the bill without any waste of time. So this time around, let this bill pass as soon as possible so that Nigeria will know peace. The Southeast will know peace. Every section of this country will know peace. Let me know what you have to say about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Thank you.